There comes a point in life when the weight in your chest feels too heavy, the lump in your throat refuses to dissolve, and the urge to collapse into tears threatens to undo you. This is the moment where most people break, where emotions dictate their next move, and pain becomes the loudest voice in the room. But the Stoics, the ancient philosophers of resilience, would tell you that this is the very moment to stand still, breathe, and master yourself. To them, crying was not weakness, but a signal, a sign that the mind was being pulled by forces it could no longer control. Memories, fears, attachments, losses. The Stoic path was not about becoming cold or numb. It was about learning to stand within the storm, without letting the storm decide who you are. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the essence of Stoic control, to refuse to let the world's chaos break your inner peace. It is not about denying your feelings, but about refusing to be enslaved by them. The modern world is filled with moments that provoke tears, heartbreaks, betrayals, disappointments, the quiet death of dreams. And yet, every tear that falls is a small surrender to something you cannot change. The Stoic does not ask, "How can I stop crying?" They ask, "What am I holding on to that I should have already let go?" When you master the art of letting go, you take away the weapon that life uses to hurt you most, your own unwillingness to release the past. You become untouchable, not because pain never comes, but because it never stays. In this journey, we will uncover 7 Stoic principles that will teach you not only how to hold back tears in moments of weakness, but how to walk away from people, situations, and memories without looking back. Each principle is a discipline, forged in the minds of philosophers who lived through war, exile, betrayal, and loss, and still walked with dignity. By the end, you will not be heartless. You will be heart-strong. You will learn that the true art is not in feeling less, but in letting go faster. You will see that self-control is the highest form of freedom, and you will understand that tears are not always the release you need. Sometimes, the release is found in silence, in stillness, in walking away without a sound. Comment below. What part of today's affirmation, "What you think, you become," resonated with you most deeply? Why do you think it struck a chord? Your insight might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And if you're serious about changing the way you think and showing up as your highest self every single day, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss your daily mental reset. Chapter 1. Principle 1. Control the frame, control the mind. When a painter looks at the world, he does not see the entire sky or every leaf on a tree. He chooses a frame. That frame decides the meaning of what he paints. The same applies to your mind. Whatever you focus on becomes your reality. The tears you fight come not from what happened, but from the frame through which you see it. The Stoics understood this with ruthless clarity. Epictetus, a man born a slave and crippled by his master's cruelty, taught, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them." He had every reason to cry, yet he became one of the greatest teachers of self-mastery, because he learned to change the frame instead of the event. Imagine this. A friend betrays you. The first frame your mind offers is pain. How could they do this to me? I trusted them. The tears rise. But you are the master, not the servant. You step back and choose a different frame. I have been freed from a false friend. Their mask slipped early. The truth came sooner than I expected. Instantly, the weight changes. The same event, a different meaning. Controlling the frame is not about lying to yourself. It is about seeing the bigger truth. A loss can be a tragedy, or it can be the removal of what was never truly yours. A breakup can be abandonment, or it can be liberation from a future filled with quiet misery. A job rejection can be humiliation, or it can be protection from a path that would have suffocated your potential. The tears fade when the mind shifts from "I have lost" to "I have gained freedom." This is why Stoics practice the art of reframing daily, not when the pain strikes, but before it does. They rehearse possible losses in their mind, not to dwell in sadness, but to train themselves to greet loss as an expected guest. Every time you control the frame, you pull the dagger out of your own chest. You refuse to let pain define the picture. You become the painter, and the canvas is your life. Chapter 2, Principle 2. See the world as a river, not a prison. If you stand in a river and try to hold the water, you will feel it slip through your fingers no matter how hard you grip. This is life. Everything you love, everyone you meet, every moment you wish to keep will eventually flow away. The Stoic accepts this. The untrained heart does not. And so, the untrained heart cries when the water passes. Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." The one who suffers most is not the one who loses, but the one who believes they were entitled to keep. People cry not only because they are hurt, but because they are shocked by impermanence. They thought love should last forever. They thought friendships were unbreakable. They thought the job, the beauty, the home would remain. The Stoic removes this illusion before it poisons the heart. They wake each day knowing that nothing is truly theirs. And so, when the river carries something away, they bow, they let go, and they remain unmoved. Think of it like this. You are a guest at a banquet. You enjoy the food, the music, the company. But when the host comes and says the evening is over, you do not cling to the chair or cry over the empty plate. You stand, thank the host, and walk out with dignity. This is the Stoics' approach to everything, from relationships to possessions to their very own life. When you see the world as a river, you stop trying to dam it with your tears. You stop building prisons for what was meant to move on. The pain of loss is replaced by the gratitude of having experienced it at all. The Stoic does not say, "I will never let go." They say, "When it is time to go, I will not resist." This does not make them cold. It makes them free. For the man who understands impermanence does not break when the river flows. He learns to flow with it. Comment below. What part of today's affirmation, "What you think, you become," resonated with you most deeply? Why do you think it struck a chord? Your insight might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And if you're serious about changing the way you think and showing up as your highest self every single day, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss your daily mental reset. Chapter 3. Principle 3. Practice the view from above. There is a point, high above the earth, where your problems are invisible. The Stoics called this the view from above. They would imagine themselves rising, first above their home, then their city, then their country, until they could see the whole world as if it were a small, spinning marble. From there, the betrayal you suffered is a whisper. The rejection you felt is a single grain of sand in an endless desert of time. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor who carried the weight of ruling Rome, often reminded himself in his journal, "All is ephemeral, both memory and the object of memory." He ruled armies, faced plagues, lost children, yet he still trained himself to rise above the noise of his own mind. When you take the view from above, the tears that once felt urgent seem almost absurd. Imagine standing in your kitchen, overwhelmed by the end of a relationship, feeling the ache in your chest like a wound. Now imagine being lifted into the night sky until you see the lights of your city, then the whole continent, then the curved blue earth floating in space. From here, your heartbreak is just one of millions happening right now, in this very moment, across oceans, deserts, forests, mountains. This is not meant to diminish your pain. It is meant to place it where it belongs, as a passing ripple in an ocean of existence. Your mind shrinks its suffering when it is reminded that the universe will not pause for your tears. The Stoics used this practice not only for grief, but for anger, fear, and longing. The higher they rose in their imagination, the less tightly they gripped their problems. It is difficult to hold on to pain when you see the vastness of the world and your own small, fleeting role within it. When you master the view from above, you do not lose empathy. You gain perspective. You remember that life has been flowing for billions of years before your birth and will continue for billions after your death. And somewhere in that truth lies a strange kind of peace. The peace that comes when you stop believing the universe should bend for your sorrow. Chapter 4, Principle 4. Kill attachment before it kills you. Attachment is the quiet thief of peace. The Stoics knew that pain enters the heart through the door of possession, not just possessions of objects, but of people, of identities, of expectations. The more tightly you claim something as mine, the sharper the knife when life takes it away. Epictetus taught his students a chilling exercise. When you kiss your child, whisper to yourself, "Tomorrow you may die." Not to be morbid, but to remind yourself that everything you love exists on loan from fate. You do not own it. You do not control its length of stay. You only hold it for a time. Modern ears recoil at this advice because we have been taught that deep love means deep attachment. But Stoic love is different. It is not weaker, it is freer. When you love without clinging, you enjoy fully, but you suffer less when the river carries it away. Think of a man holding a bird in his hand. If he closes his fist, the bird will die. If he opens his palm, the bird can sit with him as long as it chooses and fly away when it must. This is how Stoics hold relationships, careers, possessions, loosely, respectfully, without trying to cage what is meant to be free. Chapter 7. The Law of Focus. You cannot chase two rabbits. The law of focus reminds us of one simple truth. Energy divided is energy wasted. You cannot move forward if your eyes are looking in two different directions. You cannot create peace while focusing on anger. You cannot build a life of abundance while constantly obsessing over lack. This law teaches clarity. Whatever you focus on expands. If you keep your mind on fear, fear grows. If you keep your heart on love, love grows. The universe magnifies what you give your attention to. Confucius once said, "The man who chases two rabbits catches neither." The same is true of life. If you try to live by two identities, the dreamer and the doubter, you will sabotage yourself. If you try to walk two paths, the road of growth and the road of comfort, you will remain stuck in the middle. The law of focus changes you when you learn to discipline your mind, to silence distractions, and to keep your eyes on what truly matters. For what you focus on, you become. Chapter 8. The Law of Giving and Hospitality. Life responds to what you share. Karma flows through generosity. The law of giving and hospitality declares that if you believe in a principle, you must live it. It is not enough to say you value kindness. You must show it. It is not enough to say you want abundance. You must give from what you already have. Life responds to generosity. When you give, you open the flow for blessings to return. When you hold back in fear, you block your own channels of growth. The measure you give is the measure you receive. As Lao Tzu wrote, "The wise man does not lay up his own treasures. The more he gives to others, the more he has for himself." This law does not mean you must give riches or possessions alone. Sometimes, giving your time, your encouragement, your smile, your listening ear is the greatest form of hospitality. The law of giving and hospitality changes you when you stop living tight-fisted and start living open-handed. For the universe rewards the heart that shares. Comment below. What part of today's affirmation, "What you think, you become," resonated with you most deeply? Why do you think it struck a chord? Your insight might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And if you're serious about changing the way you think and showing up as your highest self every single day, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss your daily mental reset.